Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I'm delighted to join you here and speak in favor of the Budget Implementation Act, and I want to acknowledge that I'm speaking to you from the unceded lands of the Algonquin people. Madam Speaker, we were elected in 2015, and I just want to highlight some of the major successes in my region of Scarborough, and particularly Scarborough-Rouge Park. As you're aware, we were able to support the extension of the Scarborough subway with an investment of $2.26 billion. It's an unprecedented level of investment in Scarborough, and very proud of the work of all of our Scarborough colleagues in order to ensure this. We've also invested heavily in our communities, including a hub in Scarborough Agincourt, and of course, for me, in my riding of Scarborough-Rouge Park, it is the fulfillment of a dream for many in the Tamil community, which is the establishment of the Tamil Community Center with an investment of over $14 million from the federal government in partnership with the province as well as the City of Toronto. I'm very blessed to have one of the most beautiful ridings in Canada, but it's made more beautiful by the Rouge National Urban Park. And it is something that we fulfilled right after being elected. Of course, it's one of those parks where I think every political party can take credit for its success, but of course, under the leadership of Minister McKenna, we were able to ensure that the entire land for the parks was secured and transferred to the federal government, and it's now under the able management of Parks Canada. So we're standing here 6 years later, and I'm trying to reflect on the successes, but also the challenges that we have ahead. And some of those challenges, obviously, with COVID-19, we've seen that the Scarborough Health Network, which is a primary health care provider in our region, has worked very hard during the pandemic, whether it's on the testing front or in terms of providing vaccines, educating people on who have vaccine hesitation, and to really make sure that we have one amongst the highest vaccination rates in all of Canada. And I want to just thank and congratulate the Scarborough Health Network. But we also know that the systems, our health systems overall, are not in their best form because of all the pressures. And I want to just assure the folks from the Scarborough Health Network that this budget and the Budget Implementation Act does support the health network. We have $2 billion set aside to ensure that we catch up on the surgeries and the appointments that were missed during the pandemic, and the budget has a robust measures to support our health network across Scarborough, but also across Canada. But of course, one of the major challenges we had during the pandemic was in long-term care homes. In one of my long-term care homes, we lost over 53 people, and that was, and I spoke about this a number of times before, it was obviously a heart-wrenching realization of the failures of long-term care and the need for all of us, of all levels of government, despite the fact it's a provincial responsibility, there is a federal component to it to ensure that we have national standards for long-term care, and this Budget Implementation Act definitely does support the need for this type of national standards, and I'm very proud that we're able to do that. Madam Speaker, we've had, Scarborough is one of the most diverse areas of the country, and I want to talk about something that is, near and dear to my heart, and that is really about safe and inclusive communities. You may recall late last year, University of Toronto Scarborough campus, under the leadership of Professor Wisdom Teddy, instituted the Scarborough Charter, which essentially brings together academics, students, and really post-secondary institutions to ensure that academia reflects the Black communities in Canada, and this Scarborough Charter it really is a very important framework. And we have in so many different parts of Scarborough a very concerted effort to address the issues of systemic racism. And I'm so proud that this budget expands on the National Anti-Racism Strategy that I was part of developing in 2019 to invest $85 million towards the new anti-racism strategy and a national action plan on combating hate. We know the impacts of racism in my community. My community comprises of one of the largest communities of African Caribbean descent in Canada. I have the largest Tamil population. I have the largest Guyanese population. I have a very strong and vibrant and diverse Muslim population. And I can go on and on. But the reality is that folks in my riding may not have the same opportunities as others, whether it's in employment, whether it's in housing, whether it's in essential services. So I'm very proud that we are investing on ensuring that we achieve race equity, but at the same time, we're making sure that we're combating the hate, and we saw that last year in London, Ontario. We see it periodically across mosques and synagogues and even Hindu temples across Canada. And we know that violence as well as hatred towards racialized people is significantly on the rise. And on that point, I just want to highlight that we are investing significantly in terms of establishing a special envoy on preserving Holocaust remembrance and combating anti-Semitism, which again is very important to our community, as well as ensuring that we have a new special representative on combating Islamophobia. I believe, Madam Speaker, in order for us to have a safer community, we need to invest in these measures. But we don't actually stop there. We go beyond and expanding supporting Black Canadian Communities initiative with $50 million. This is on top of what my friend from Gatineau, or Hal Aylmer rather, often says, we've invested over $800 million since we've taken office in terms of ensuring that we have an even playing field for members of Canada's Black communities. But we know that there's a lot more to do, and the investment that we have in this budget is a reaffirmation of the need to move forward. And on a side note, Madam Speaker, we were able to ensure that the Honourable Jean Augustine, who was an august member of this House, her work is recognized through a legacy contribution to an endowed chair in her name. And these are some of the measures that really are going towards the root of combating racism and hatred in Canada. Of course, we are also putting in $100 million towards ensuring that we have a national action plan to support the LGBTQI community. And of course, Madam Speaker, there's significant work that we're doing with respect to reconciliation, and I unfortunately don't have time to talk about it extensively, but all I can say is that it's a path that I know we've taken over many years, but it's a journey that's going to take a great deal more from the federal government, but from all Canadians, and we are, I believe, on the right trajectory. And while I recognize the frustrations and, of course, the slow pace of this, it is important that we double down and we continue on this path, and I invite all of our members to support, members in this House to support this. On a final note, Madam Speaker, I do want to finish up with the Rouge Park. We have a commitment of planting 2 billion trees across Canada, but particularly we do have a carve-out for the Rouge Park of $2 million for establishment of a new trail that will connect to across Canada, and I'm very proud of that. And I hope to continue this work, and I look forward to questions from my colleagues. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity.